Okay, so we are topping off the 2023 GMC Denali with the LZO 3-liter diesel. We're going to do another fuel economy test. Now that we're about 3,800 miles into this truck, just added $47.39, 12.6 gallons worth of fuel. The interesting thing here, and a lot of people would probably say, you know, I already knew that, is that the fuel gauge was showing about 3/4 of a tank. So the fuel gauge certainly is not accurate in line with how much fuel capacity this tank has, because 12.6 gallons is actually half a tank. So very interesting. Anyways, we are going to hit the... We're going to see how good this truck performs with 3,734 miles. All right, so we are reset. We have a full tank of fuel. It says I have 516 miles worth of range on the dash here. Current fuel average truck economy. Current average fuel economy on the truck, 22.6. Now it's dropped down significantly because I haven't been driving the truck, I'm going to say, as gingerly as I typically would, which netted me that 24.5 miles per gallon average. But now that we've reset things, honestly, I haven't really been keeping up with the fuel economy over the last 1,000 or miles or so. So let's see how this truck performs now that we have, you know, roughly 3,750 miles on it. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just not accelerate as hard. I'm gonna accelerate normally, and as you could probably tell, you know, with the vehicle in front of me, I'm accelerating at about the same speed as normal traffic. I'm going to stay at the speed limit. If I go over it, it would only be by a couple miles. I am going to use cruise control, and I have the radar cruise control on as well, so it'll adapt to the vehicle that's in front of me. And the goal here, again, is just to kind of see, you know, now that we have nearly 4,000 miles on this truck, what the fuel economy is going to look like. By the time we get back from this trip, we're certainly going to have well over 4,000 miles on this truck. A lot of vehicles give you much better fuel economy over time. Basically, the longer you drive the vehicle, the more miles you've put on it, the fuel economy subtly increases. On this truck, I just don't know. You know, again, with the average fuel economy being 22.7 for the truck, I don't think I was driving it that much different than I'm going to be driving it today. But we'll find out. We'll see if I can get back up there in the 32 mile per gallon range. And right now the dash computer is showing that I'm at 32.7, which, you know, anytime you stop, that's going to change. I'm going to leave the engine auto start stop feature on, just so, you know, if that does factor into it, I'm removing that variable of how much fuel I'm wasting when I'm idling. Today's trip will be about 3 hours each way. So I'll be on the road for about 6 hours today in terms of just getting to where I'm going, which is Mission, Texas, and then 3 hours back. Today's actually a pretty good day to be doing this, because if you can see all the wind turbines around us, none of them are moving, which indicates a couple things, but the big one that it indicates is that there's virtually no wind. Hopefully on the way back, it's going to be similar, and we'll be able to give you kind of, you know, the whole round trip in terms of how this truck performed from a fuel economy perspective. But we will be on the road for a while, so I will give you some additional updates as we get further into this trip. Okay, so we are still on the road. We've traveled 81.9 miles, average fuel economy 27.2 miles per gallon, average speed 57.9. I had to make a quick pit stop to refill my coffee and to get a pack of gum. Fuel economy on the truck, 28.3 miles per gallon. So yeah, everything is still looking really good. About 650 miles worth of range, according to the range, 547 miles remaining. It's pretty dang awesome to get a half-ton truck, four-wheel drive, with a 3-liter diesel that still gives you good towing capacity, reasonable payload capacity, nice comfort, a lot of technology, but with this type of fuel economy. And I'm still really impressed, especially now that we're 3,817 miles into this truck. When we got the truck, I think it had like 50 miles on it, 60 miles, something like that. But that's primarily because they drove it to me to deliver the vehicle. All that said though, been really happy with the truck overall. Mechanically, it's been, you know, fantastic. I haven't had any issues other than the creaking sound, the popping sound we were getting from the leaf springs, but then I put those rubber bushings in and it fixed it all. You know, the challenge I have with taking my vehicle in to a dealership under warranty for repair isn't the fact that, you know, I'm worried that it won't get repaired. It's the timeline to actually get your vehicle back. Because you can expect to leave your vehicle at a dealership for a minimum of 2 weeks to even get minor things looked at. Shoot, my son-in-law's vehicle, he brought in, it took him a week just to even look at the vehicle to see if it was covered under warranty with the issue. The vehicle has a warranty, but it took them a week to make that determination on even if they could work on the vehicle under warranty. And now the vehicle's been there for almost 2 weeks and it still hasn't been worked on. So, you know, playing that game of trying to get your vehicle back once it's in a shop is far more stressful to me than just trying to do the job myself if it's something that I can easily accomplish. Putting the little rubber bushings in the back literally took me 30 minutes, if that. And 30 minutes is a stretch. However, would I have rather done that myself, gained some experience in trying to figure out what problems I was trying to resolve, and not have to deal with taking my vehicle to a dealership, leaving it with them, being without that vehicle for something very, very minor, only because they're so busy that they can't get to it for, you know, an extended period of time. So for me, I'm always looking at the pros and cons. I'm always trying to weigh, you know, the differences between these two scenarios. And I like working on vehicles, so I like doing a lot of this stuff myself because it helps me understand where an issue is actually coming from versus, I think, sometimes being led down the wrong direction by dealerships when you take your vehicle in. Oftentimes they'll say they can't reproduce the sound, or it's normal, or they have to wait on a part, or, you know, it's something that requires even more extensive diagnosis, and then you end up finding out that your vehicle's been there for 3 weeks and they've done nothing to it to fix the problem. I felt that way with the Ford Explorer that we had. We took it in, it was in the shop for over a month for things that were relatively minor, just to get it back, just to find out that half of the problems were never resolved and they said that they couldn't reproduce it. I don't want to live with that. I don't want to go through that. So I felt the best way of resolving some of the problems with this, like the creaking noise, the popping noise in the back, was just to research it myself, do the repair myself, and, you know, be on my way. And I was down 30 minutes. That's it. So for all those folks who say, you know, it's under warranty, bring it in, I agree with you if you are willing to go through that process, or if the repair that needs to be done is beyond what you're able to do yourself, is beyond what you're capable of doing yourself because you don't have the tools, or because you may actually damage the vehicle or potentially void the warranty if you do the work yourself. Nothing I did on this truck would have been outside of the scope of things that you couldn't do on your own vehicle anyways. All that said though, the truck's been actually a really great truck. We haven't had any issues with it. A lot of folks say that if you don't get a 3/4 ton truck, you're not getting a truck. I know some people believe I think that way, but that's absolutely not the case. The way I believe is you get the right truck for the right application. That's really what it's all about. It's just like getting the right tool for the right application. A lot of folks will criticize my channel because, you know, they have a half-ton truck and they believe that I'm bashing half-ton trucks because I don't expect them to tow over a certain amount of weight. I don't expect them to carry over a certain amount of weight, or I don't expect you to do certain things with them that are just kind of outside of the scope of what the trucks are designed for. So obviously people think right off the bat there's some bias there, and there's not. I am a proponent of using tools correctly, and I think a lot of the folks who would say that I have a bias against trucks are the same folks who would instruct someone on how to use a torque wrench correctly, or a pair of pliers correctly, or the right tool for the right job, but will criticize somebody who criticizes something that they have. And when I say criticize something that they have, I mean more along the lines of basically explaining the limitations that I personally feel exist with certain types of trucks. Now, you may have a personal feeling that differs from mine, but my personal feeling is based off of me taking into account all the numbers that a manufacturer puts on a truck. Not just one, not just two, but all of them. Understanding what your rear axle rating is, understanding what your gross vehicle weight rating is, understanding what your payload capacity is, what your towing capacity is, both conventional and fifth wheel, understanding payload, both conventional and fifth wheel, understanding gear ratios, understanding climate, humidity, elevation, all of these things that impact a truck's performance whenever you're trying to use it specifically for towing. So I try to always inject all of it together versus just saying, oh wow, well you have 2,000 pounds worth of payload capacity, so obviously you can tow a fifth wheel with 1,500 pounds worth of pin weight capacity. I don't say things like that because it's not true. You have to look at all the numbers. You have to look at how the vehicle was engineered, how it was designed, and what the intent of that specific truck was for. And I truly believe half-ton trucks are the Swiss Army knife of trucks. They're designed to do a lot of different things and excel at a lot of different things, but they're not the one-size-fits-all vehicle a lot of people want them to be. And I think some of that perception is just built off of the fact that some people have loyalties to a certain type of truck. And when you build up those loyalties over such a long period of time, you never want to be told, or you never want to hear that the vehicle you have is less capable than what you thought it was under extreme circumstances. Radar cruise control just engaged. Match the speed in front of me of the vehicle up there. One thought I want to kind of leave you with is that a lot of people are going to say, well, you're just biased again against half-ton trucks. But understand this, we bought this truck. Just like the F450 we purchased. We didn't get this truck as a media loaner. This is my truck. I bought this truck with my money, and I'm under no obligation to say anything nice about it other than the absolute truth. So why would I spend $75,000 on a brand new 2023 truck and also spend what I spent on my F450 several years ago and not just give you a fair evaluation of both? I think I've been very fair in terms of explaining what I like about this truck. Some of the things that are kind of confusing, like the lack of 12-volt sockets, that there are absolutely zero of them in this truck, which is just frustrating. And defend it as you may, the fact is every other truck has them. And most SUVs have them. I mean, it's just something lacking from General Motors pickup trucks and SUVs probably, and I just don't understand why. So again, you may say, well, you don't need them. Well, a lot of people that say you don't need them say you don't need them because they don't have them. And they base what they think you need off of what they have or don't have in a vehicle that they really like. So I can really like this truck, but admit that there are things that I don't like about it. And I think tow mirrors should have been standard on this truck. It has a tow package. Putting tow mirrors, or at least, putting some type of a spot mirror in would have been nice. I hate having to go to Pep Boys or going to AutoZone to pick up spot mirrors on a truck. That should just have spot mirrors. It's a truck. It has a tow package. It's designed to be able to tow, so why not just have spot mirrors on the truck? It's just one of those things that there's so many folks who will criticize RVs, that they should have this, they should do this better, but the minute you criticize the vehicle that they love, all the rules change for them. It's all about them accepting what the manufacturer of the truck they love is willing to do or not do, but not accepting it if it's another brand, or if it's another type of vehicle, or if it's another type of product or appliance. And that's the thing that I guess I've learned over the years. I've become less biased towards everything, less biased towards trucks, less biased towards cars, towards accessories, towards equipment, towards electronics. I look at things at face value now. What are they doing? What do I like? What don't I like? And oftentimes, even if you look at a truck like this, you're going to hear far more things that I like with a very, very small focus on things that I don't like, mainly because most of the manufacturers are doing things right. They're doing a good job. They're putting together a good product and a good package. And I think that that's ultimately what consumers are looking for. Yes, sometimes there are little misses, there are little things they could have done differently or better, but if channels like mine and other YouTube channels and reviewing outlets and media outlets don't talk about it, then I think ultimately at the end of the day, the consumer suffers, because if there's no awareness brought to things that could be a little different or a little better, well, then the manufacturer is going to have no way of knowing that people either want or don't want something. And again, your comments below actually matter, because they show manufacturers what you all expect, how you react when you find out something does or does not have an accessory or a feature, and if you expect the next generation of that vehicle to have a feature. Now, something weird just happened. I don't know if I can zoom down for it, but my navigation screen just reset. I don't know what's going on. It just blacked out, popped up GMC. Maybe there's a software or some type of a firmware update, but it's been stuck there for a little while now. I have absolutely no idea why that happened. I don't want to make this video any longer than it needs to be, but honestly, whenever you're doing a fuel economy evaluation, you're on the road for a while anyways. Right now, trip 98.5 miles, 26.8 miles per gallon fuel economy on the trip, 60.4 miles per hour average speed, and the average fuel economy of the truck, 25.9 miles per gallon. So things are still going pretty well. Not as good as this truck got on some of the previous trips, where I got upwards of 32 miles per gallon on both the truck average and the trip average. So not exactly sure what's different. I'm still using cruise control. I'm still set at the same speed of 76 miles per hour in a 75 zone. And yeah, it's interesting that the fuel economy isn't creeping up higher than it currently is. Range, 537 miles till empty. Anyways, guys, we will wrap up this fuel economy test when we get to our destination. So I am almost to my destination. Fuel economy dropped a little bit because I had to drive around a little town real quick and run an errand. But 155.3 mile trip, 25 miles per gallon average for the trip, 64.1 was my average speed. Got 469 miles remaining in terms of range, and an average truck fuel economy of 22.3 miles per gallon. Pretty dang phenomenal. This truck continues to give me really amazing fuel economy, though not quite as good as the first two trips that I went on, where I was getting 27 to 32 miles per gallon on average, which I'm gonna have to figure out what's going on. You know, I definitely want to try to get a good comparison of trips and show you all what this truck's truly capable of, but this is a pretty big spread from the best numbers that I got during the first two trips. Anyways, guys, I sure hope you've enjoyed this video. Wow, almost hit me a couple turkey vultures. But if you haven't had a chance, take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up. We'll talk to you again real soon.